Okay, this is going to be a fun one. This live is going to be a little bit different. It's what Inc.com called this TikTok that I'm going to share with you in just a moment, a masterclass on what not to do as a company. And the example that we're going to be observing today is of a large company, Fortune 500, I think, but Cloudflare. For those of you who are online and you use your website through a proxy like Cloudflare, you know what I'm talking about. We use Cloudflare as well, and it's very surprising. And the reason why I want to do this today, because the video just came out yesterday, and just to give a little context, this Brittany Pietsch, who got laid off or got let go in probably in all the wrong ways possible. Okay. And so the reason why you want to watch this and the reason why I want to bring this up is that, again, like I said, it's a masterclass, but it's also to what not to do when you're looking to scale your business, grow your business, hire people, and more importantly, firing people. And then at the end, after we watch the video, I'm going to talk about what to do to make sure that you don't commit this grievous mistakes or the series of mistakes, because I'm going to be unpacking. There is a lot to unpack, so I'm not going to be able to get to everything for the sake of time, but we're going to walk through this whole thing. And so without further ado, let me go ahead and pull up the video, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to play it, and then we're going to break it down bit by bit so that you can learn. So if you are a business and you have teams and you have people responsible for your teams, and more importantly, if you have an HR department that is responsible for doing these types of activities, you really want to pay attention to this. And because just as much as we learn on what we are supposed to do when we're scaling and growing our business, hiring, and unfortunately sometimes having to let people go, it's just as important to recognize the mistakes that is going to be shown to you so that you don't make those same mistakes that will get you in a ton of trouble. Because right now Cloudflare is now dealing with a viral video that is quickly going to become a PR nightmare for a little bit. So let's jump right in. So all right, so here is the video. Let's go ahead and watch and see what all this is all about. By the way, I had to reprocess this video because so that I can add captions to this to make it easier for you to see what's going on.
Hey, Brittany.
Hi.
Yes, I'm so sorry. My name's Rosie. I'm just joining the call. Nice to meet you. I'm on the HR team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to give a little background, at this point, she already knew what's coming. That's why she thought about recording this. And apparently the mismanagement of this mass layoff that's been going on in keeping people from telling other fellow employees and fellow coworkers what's going on and what's about to happen is what contributed to her being able to record this and create this PR nightmare for an organization. So right off the bat, you can tell the organization, Cloudflare, has not managed this very well. They just basically didn't really think this through. The fact that she's able to record it knowing what is about to happen, that's already a flag of bad planning when it comes to this.
Hi, Brittany.
Hi.
Thanks for meeting with me and Rosie. We have an important meeting today. We finished our evaluations of 2023 performance. This is where you have not met Cloudflare expectations for performance. We've decided to part ways with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there.
Sure.
Okay, so what I appreciate about this generation that's has this willingness to call out poor practices, it kind of puts us entrepreneurs and leaders of organization at a higher standard. Now, there's a lot of split thinking or thoughts about whether or not, she should have been recording this and those types of things. But I kind of like it because, so for too long now, larger organizations have gone a little bit complacent. And for lack of a better word, lazy about making sure that they understand everything that's happening. Because the larger organization the less they know what's going on underneath, especially with people they've just hired. So anyway, let's go ahead and listen to more of this. She's already interrupting him because she knows that she needs to kind of stand up for herself. And so let's see what she says.
So I started August 25th. I've been on a 3-month ramp, and then it was 3 weeks of December, and then a week of Christmas, and then here we are. I have had the highest activity amongst my team. Since I've started, I have had 3 contracts out, done a really great job managing my deals up until the very end that decided not to close last minute. So I don't think that makes a lot of sense for me in my Cloudflare journey here so far. Also, every single one-on-one I've had with my manager, every conversation I've had with him, he has been giving me nothing but I am doing a great job, I have had great activity, I have really great meetings, I'm picking up the products very quickly, and things have been going really, really well. I make really great relationships with my clients. So I disagree that my performance hasn't been, I haven't met performance expectations when I certainly have, just because I haven't closed anything officially.
Okay, so this is already a flag right here, and this is probably why it's very confusing for people who are being let go, especially if we think about the timeline that she just indicated. The reason why she's able to remember everything that she's done so far in the company is because she just finished being onboarded, okay? And now every company has a different onboarding interval, okay? 3 months is actually a pretty, it's pretty fast for depending on the role, okay? In general, we're talking about 30 to 60% of the first year of most new hires it's basically spent on training and onboarding. So she's only been onboarding 3 months, and as of this moment, it's only January. So that's why she's able to remember all the things that she's done so far and be able to articulate it. So she's not, it's kind of hard to make up because she hasn't been there that long, right?
I hear you.
Also, why are you doing this and not my manager?
Beautiful call out right here, okay? Standard HR practice, if you're going to let somebody go, you have somebody that actually knows what she's doing and knows how she is doing it. Now, I'm not an HR specialist. But because of what we do in helping organizations scale, helping solve people problems over the last 20, 30 years, we worked with a lot of HR type of divisions, even independent boutique organizations in terms of collaborative work. So, for someone as young as she is, and maybe she did a little research knowing that this was coming to know what specific questions to ask. But me personally, if I was suddenly put in her position, I'd be so flustered, I wouldn't even think about doing that, to be honest. If I was her age, right? So anyway, at this age, who knows?
Or not, we've never met, so this seems a little odd that my manager has no idea that this has been happening.
Okay, so this has literally happened to me before too. I was let go in an organization by people I've never met before. I was directly under the CEO. In fact, what was funny is I never heard from him again. Not only was he not there to let me know why I was being let go, but I didn't think about it at the time to even ask, why are you letting me go? I just started making up things in my head as to assuming why things were happening. So this is great for her to be asking that, actually, because, she's like saying, I don't know who you guys are. Why are you doing this? And where's my manager that can answer the questions that I have, which is she's going to ask in a moment.
And the director has no idea that this has been happening. So I'm just definitely confused. And
so notice she said that the director and her boss had no idea, even the boss doesn't know that this is happening. So already you can see there's a big issue there at Cloudflare right now, where the right hand literally is not talking to the left hand, and something as significant as the direct report, or the person that she's reporting to, doesn't even know that she's going to be let go and is confused about the whole thing. Now, whether or not that's true, the fact that she's in a position and of right now talking about that, that's a that's a problem, okay? And that is an indication that there's some serious challenges in the chain of command and communication in an organization. And here's the problem: when an organization starts off small and they scale up, but they scale too quickly, or they scale without the proper foundational scaling metrics or processes or structure, this is what starts to happen. And that's why we see all the time companies that scale, and they scale fast, and they implode on themselves because they don't take the proper steps of doing so, and making sure, like something as simple as communication channels when people are hiring, firing, let go, just basic fundamental operational stuff. So it's an operational issue here.
Yeah, I would love like an explanation that makes sense.
100%. Real quick.
I can't stand it when people say 100% with no follow-up of 100% of what. Okay. And that is, I don't know if it's a generational thing. She just basically said, I don't understand why I'm talking to you and this and that, and why, my performance, my perception of how things are and what's been communicated to me is different than what you're communicating to me. And makes me think that the HR team right there that's doing this, they're not experienced. They're going off of a boilerplate template. And then he says 100%, but he doesn't follow the 100% what? Okay. I think it's a bro type of thing. It's 100%. It's like, what does that even mean? Okay. It's just a little gripe.
Let me carve out the two threads. The latter of why I'm on this conversation, I'll put that one to the second half, and Rosie might be better to explain the process of who's giving this information in the prior piece, which is your feedback and notes about your performance. So let me add a little color context to that.
So already, this is something they're probably not used to fielding. So it sounds like a very inexperienced HR team who have not had a lot of field experience, because all of a sudden she's asking good questions, legitimate questions that they need to have answers for. And as you continue to watch this, you'll see they actually are underprepared. So in fact, the HR team that's letting her go, thinking that this is just something that they have to do, they probably don't even want to do it. They've showed up, they probably have been showing up to these calls completely underprepared, not giving the right information. Again, maybe it's not the HR team's fault. Maybe it's whoever's in charge not handling this or planning this out properly.
Just for clarification, you're not being singled out in this. Your peers are also being collectively assessed on performance. This is a collective calibration for Cloudflare. So I just want to clarify that piece. I won't be able to add any kind of specifics on numbers or...
Wait, yeah, no, can you explain for me why Brittany Pietsch is getting let go?
I love this piece right here because it's calling them out from... This is a subtle form of what often people refer to as gaslighting or corporate bullying. Okay, so they have the corporate division behind them, supporting them to doing this job because they are only doing their job, really, the HR department. And then so they're trying to talk around the fact that they can't answer a question. So they're just talking about this collective thing that's happening. And I love how she just steps in and says, okay, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but tell me why me personally, am getting let go. Because I don't think it's about whether or not she wants to keep her job or she wants to have her job. I mean, at this point, she's probably like have a salty taste in her mouth about it. But, all she really wants at this point is logical clarity as to why she was hired, onboarded, and now being let go.
I won't be able to go into specifics for numbers.
Wait, why though?
Because he doesn't have it. He doesn't have those numbers. And the reality is, I bet you if he just told her, say, I'm sorry, we don't have that information, then that would put it to rest. But let's see what happens.
I just started. I've been working extremely hard. Just because I haven't closed anything that has nothing to do with my performance on a 3-month ramp with just 1 month with
3-month ramp right before the holiday season, and during the holiday season, that's a whole, mandatory holidays in the middle. So in reality, I would say like after her on-ramping or training and everything that's been done, she's literally worked probably less than a full month, right? Because here we are, January, just the beginning of January, right? So August, September, October. So 1 month, okay, but that's already going into the holiday season. So interesting.
Major holidays in the middle. I don't think that has anything to do with why I should be let go, if that makes sense. So I really need an answer and an explanation as to why Brittany Pietsch is getting let go.
See, she's not asking to be, kept around or to keep her job. She just wants another human being to tell her, a human being, why she's getting let go. So at least she can have closure, right? I think most of us would like that. I think it's a legitimate thing to ask. Let's see what happens.
Not why Cloudflare decided to hire too many people and are now actually realizing that they can't afford this many people.
So she probably noticed she was part of this massive rush to hire. And this is the piece that I am going to address for those of you who are wondering about this whole thing that's going on, massive layoffs, massive hiring, based on something that I actually demonstrated to a networking group last year around why we overhire, which then leads to situations like this, which then becomes a PR nightmare. So we'll get to that in a moment.
Letting that go. If that's the real answer, I would rather just you tell me that instead of making up some bullshit and telling me that right before I lose my job from someone that I've never met before.
Okay, so she already is giving them the way out. She literally is making their job super easy for them. If all they did is just give her some logical reason, and if they said that, you're right. And airlines have done this. They overbook, right? But because for airlines that, this is what saved JetBlue actually, when they admit they made a mistake, okay, and they are now trying to fix that mistake, people are humans too, human beings, people are more apt to accept that and just deal with the consequences of just having bad luck, right? But let's see how they handle this piece right here, the HR department.
If you can respect that.
Yeah, I can totally respect that. And I don't think Dom or myself today is going to give you any clarity or answers that's going to...
Okay, so Rosie, I'm going to probably pick on the most in this one because she's obviously not trained in certain communication models or language sets, such as neurolinguistics, to be able to truly be able to kind of facilitate these types of conversations. She's could probably benefit from learning some of the negotiating tactics or diplomacy tactics in terms of negotiate, because she's already saying, I respect that, which is a good start. And then immediately jumps into like, we're not going to give you what you want. We're not going to give you any answers. Okay. Instead of just saying, you know what, we would love to. We don't have that information. We were not given that information. If all they did was admit, but so people are so afraid to say like, I'm sorry, I don't have that information, or I don't know. That actually humanizes a person so that there can be a mutual level of empathy and compassion. So I didn't mean for this to be broken down into a communication thing, but this is an also important thing, especially if you're looking to grow your business and hire certain people to represent you as a leader and owner in different divisions of your organization.
Meet the expectations that you're communicating to us, Brittany. So I can't speak to...
So am I getting let go for no reason? If you guys can't give me a reason?
Legitimate question and a straightforward call out.
I'm happy to follow up with you separately to give you the data that was calibrated.
Again, just admit you don't have the data right now and that you'll give her that, right?
I'll need to speak with revenue leadership specifically to see if we can get that for you. But
what is revenue leadership? Revenue leadership, I don't even know what that is, but I guess people who are leaders of revenue in the organization, but whatever, if that's the name of the thing. But revenue leadership then should have already given this information. The file that they have for every person when they're about to let person go, especially if they've never met that person before, they should have a complete profile of all the data. So that way, when these questions come up, they don't just leave people in the lurch and say, we're letting you go, because what need would the company have to circle back to somebody that they've already let go or fired or laid off? Right?
Can you share that with me now?
I cannot share that with you right now.
The reason why she can't, Brittany, is because Rosie doesn't have that information. Instead of admitting that I don't have that information, I would love to share it with you, but I don't have that information. But to say that I cannot is this, it's an instigative type of dynamic where it's like, nope, I'm going to, it's kind of like, it's a not necessarily a gaslighting move, but it's more like a dominance type of move. It's like, nope, I'm going to control the situation. I cannot share with you tonight because I have the ability to not share this with you, instead of just admitting that I don't even have this information, so I can't answer that. So I don't want to look stupid, so I'm going to say I cannot share that with you.
Now, unfortunately, yeah, it's understandable how you feel. And
okay, this is the first big thing. One of the fundamentals of communication, especially in neurolinguistics, is that in these types of dynamics, someone is struggling and dealing with a lot of different types of challenges, emotional challenges. You're getting let go, you're getting fired. The last thing you want to do as the person that's doing this is say that I understand, or any form of the word understand, because at the end of the day, the human subconscious mind will never accept that someone truly understands them. And the reality is, we as human beings can never truly understand another human being. We can understand concepts, we can understand formulas, we can understand academic things. But when it comes to understanding another human being in the area of communication, anytime you say that, it immediately triggers the unconscious mind on a subconscious level that, no, you don't understand me, because the beauty of being human and the power of that unique nature that we have to express ourselves is such that nobody will truly understand us. We can respect, the other person. We can appreciate what the other person is going through. But to say understand immediately puts the other person in massive defense mode, right? For example, if two people went through a divorce, right? Every divorce is different. Every dynamic is different. But if you go up to somebody, I understand what you're going through, and say, the person on an unconscious, even if consciously they say like, oh yeah, I appreciate that, but subconsciously, that little inner child, that little inner human being is going, no, you don't understand anything about what I'm going through. So let's see how many times Rosie commits this communication sin of saying that she understands. I know, I'm kind of like giving you a preview.
Frustration cannot stress that enough.
I have been working extremely hard. I just knew that this meeting was.
So so that statement, if you notice, it has now put her into a defense mode that I have to validate myself, so that you think you understand me, but let me explain more, because you're trying to understand me, but you probably don't understand me and probably never will. And that's probably closer to the truth.
Coming after knowing what's been happening with my peers and how extremely frustrated and upset everyone is.
Okay, so this is a mismanagement in terms of the execution of these layoffs. If you're going to do it, if you're going to lay off a large group of people, you want to do it. And we've seen people commit this faux pas all the time. I mean, lately, a lot. You've seen a lot because they're desperate. They have to kind of watch their bottom line, save a bunch of money. And so they just preemptively executed a laying off process before it's fully planned out properly. And now you have this massive exodus and people now know it's coming. So guess what happens, right? They can plan and do these kind of POV videos, which will then create, again, a PR nightmare for the brand and the organization.
I know you guys must not be able to understand that, given in the positions that you are.
See, she just said it. You guys may not understand that. So so when you say I understand what you're going through, they're going to mean say no, you don't. And this broken down just now to what I'm saying, she's literally saying back to them and says, you probably don't understand, given the position that you're in. But she's justifying that why they'll understand so that they can hopefully receive what she's saying. But basically what she's saying is this: you don't understand me. What makes you say, how dare you say you understand what I'm going through? Because I'm going to tell you right now, you don't understand me.
And it must be very easy for you to just have these little 10-minute, 15-minute meetings, tell someone that they're fired, completely wreck their whole life, and then that's it with no explanation.
Okay, so then what happens is what you're seeing right here is that it kind of like a dramatic representation wreck somebody's life, destroy somebody's life is, yeah, maybe. I mean, this is a chapter and then she's going to move on. Eventually, she's going to recover. Everybody pretty much does, especially if you just had the job for 3-4 months or something like that, right? Okay, so what triggered that was Rosie's comment. And it put this primal defense mode to kick up which then projects this overly dramatic display of, you don't understand me, let me tell you why. Whether or not I know for sure, doesn't matter, okay?
And that's extremely traumatizing for people. If you can.
So again, she's trying to get them to understand. So since you're trying to understand me, let me go to really extreme demonstrations and language of why you actually think you understand, but you don't understand.
Imagine that, and I don't think that this is, it's just very, very shocking. Very, very shocking.
Okay, so the stumbling of language and communication is due to the fact that it's a subconscious trigger that happened with that statement that Rosie did.
I've like really given my whole energy and life over the last 4 months to this job, and to be let go for no reason is like a huge slap in the face from a company that I really wanted to believe in.
Can absolutely understand.
Oh, here we go again, Rosie. You can absolutely understand when in reality you actually don't. Okay, you're not her age, you're not her, you don't have her life. Nobody can do that. You can even walk 100 miles in their shoes and you still won't fully understand the depth and the breadth of what any person's action can do to another person. We can certainly appreciate, respect, ask the appropriate question to learn more about what's going on, but to say the word understand, it's going to trigger even more, as we will soon see.
How you feel that way, why you feel that way. And I'll be honest with you, there's nothing that we're going to say in this call and the time that we have that's going to undo the way that you feel right in this moment.
Then say that there's nothing that we could do or say is just a lazy way out. It's like, we're just doing our job. I'm not even going to try to empathize with you. And so if you look at her facial expression, she's like, she doesn't appreciate any of what that's saying. It's not helping. It really isn't helping. Rosie needs to be trained more on communication styles and communication strategies, especially if you're going to be doing these types of conversations in HR. Okay, there's always a better way.
I personally will do everything that I can to give you as much specific information as I can after this call. I can't make any promises.
Okay, I'm going to do everything that I can, but I can't make any promises. It's like a walking oxymoron, right?
I understand where you're coming from.
Oh, here we go again. I understand where you're coming from. No, you don't, Rosie. Stop saying something. Stop lying. When we say I understand where someone's coming from, no, you can only appreciate, you can only respect based on the limited information that you've had having met this person very first time to know where they're coming from. Stop it. Just stop it.
Tell you that Dom and I do care.
Oh, now you're using Dom to kind of cover up, okay? How can you speak for Dom? Has Dom said that he cares? Okay. Anyway, I'm belaboring this point. Well, here again, if we look at the caption, I understand the feeling that you have right now. Really? I'm so fascinated, Rosie. I would actually ask her, so what do you understand about it? Tell me your reference point. Tell me a life experience that has you fully understanding what I'm going through at this point in my life, at this age of my life, right? All right, Rosie, here you go.
I understand the feeling that you have right now, and I can't change that.
I don't think she wants things to be changed. I think Brittany just wants clarity as to why she's getting let go. The real reason, instead of the illogical, like, oh, your metrics and everything like that, even though you're still in training.
I'll just be honest.
But why can't, you guys have still not given me a reason why I'm being let go.
Way to keep it on point, keeping it simple, not letting the bird walking or the pussyfooting around the directness of what she actually wants. And she's literally making it easy as possible for them to just make this conversation as easy as possible. But the over complexity, the word salad that's being spit out by the HR, or mostly by Rosie, it's not helping the situation. Silence.
Despite constant positive praise from my manager, great meetings that I'm having, the amount of activity that I have has all been positive. I have not received any negative inclination. I have not been put on a performance improvement plan.
Right. So again, this is a process issue, operational issue that needs to be resolved in Cloudflare moving forward. I mean, again, this is a great opportunity for Cloudflare to learn that, okay, there's some gaps in our, what we like to call scaling gaps. Okay. When you grow the organization, when you're hiring people, these are the gaps you want to look for, because otherwise you're going to grow, then you're going to retreat. Okay, and this is something we talk about all the time. To avoid the yo-yo scaling and growth thing, you've got to have these things in place before you even invest time, energy, or even one penny of money into hiring another person, scaling and growing, because these gaps will then create some big problems. And this is an operational gap, okay? And there's acquisitions, there's fulfillment, and there's operation. This is an operations gap when it comes to these types of things, where she wasn't on a performance improvement plan. Why would she anyway? She just got hired. She's still being trained. There's so
Nothing. So
And I cannot speak to what your manager has communicated to you directly.
So, which is why the manager should be there with them. You know, this is, if you're going to have these two HR people there letting people go, then whoever is managing the direct report, whoever they're reporting to, should also be there to spackle these gaps. Because I kind of want to say it's not the HR team's fault, because they have no idea who she is. They have no idea about anything. There's no prior experience with her, so they really can't speak intelligently about it. They've just been sent out there like Marines to just go, okay, just go shoot these people, right? That's a terrible metaphor, by the way. Sorry.
but that
You
should
are
be
being
the
let go
indication of
for performance based on your attainment and leading indicators of data.
Okay, attainment and leading indicators of data. What Rosie is saying right now is, I still don't have that information, so I'm gonna speak in these broad terms that I learned in school, or learned in certification, or learned in HR, to as general terms of why most people need to be let go, right? Without really kind of respecting where she is in this situation, the fact that this person is still literally really still in training. I mean, she hasn't even been given enough time to even close one deal, especially I'm assuming she's working in larger deals versus doing like the consumer market. That's why there's contracts and everything involved with what she works on.
That is the rationale.
but I've been here for only a month after ramping, and that was during a holiday. So I don't understand can you explain what those performance metrics?
Oh, I admire someone her age to be able to still keep her composure and ask really good questions to kind of poke apart what HR is saying. The word salad they're throwing out at these platitudes of just like, oh, okay, well, these are the general reasons why we let people go. She goes, I don't want general, I want specific. I'm trying to explain to you my situation, right? I would actually flip the script and say, hey, if you were just hired and you were on ramped as an HR person, but 1 month later you were let go because they said your performance wasn't good enough, even though you're brand spanking new, wouldn't you want to know? Right? That's what I would have said, but I don't think she said that. I don't think she did, but she's doing great anyway, being put in a position like this.
Or is that just like a vague term to give to everyone that you're speaking to today?
Oh, nice call out.
I'll say that the performance indicators and performance metrics are, while we're not able to go into specifics, and there's no situation where we will be able.
So the reason why there's no situation where Dom and Rosie will go into the specifics is because that's code for, I don't have the specifics. We were not given that information. I mean, if this is how they are letting people go, I bet the HR people are being thrown into this. It's like, here, go fire this person. Okay. Do you have any information? No. But then HR, I mean, what they should have done is should have said, hey, can I get some information about these people? Where are their files? What's the folder? What are the metrics and everything like that, so that they don't have to lie. So there's a whole chain of command that is responsible for this entire thing. So it's not just Brittany, it's not just HR, that this HR team, Rosie and Dom, it's everybody else leading up to this point. So what we're seeing is just a small fraction of the bigger problem, right?
Do you guys even know? like why, like who you're talking to each day, like every single 10-15 minutes. Do you guys even know who you're talking to?
So she's once again giving them a chance to basically make this a much better conversation. She's literally telling them this, and let's see what they say.
Like why you're letting these people go when you don't even understand like the kind of work and everything that they've put in.
See, Rosie, this is a little bit of like an opportunity for you to learn. It's not just about understanding what she's going through, the kind of work, what they put in, what they had to give up in their lives and everything like that, or what they had to do to change their lives. Because every time you get a new job, every time you start to go into a job working for somebody else full time, okay, there are certain shifts and changes that need to happen, especially if you're going from one type of working dynamic culture to another dynamic, right? So
I hear you and what you're saying.
It just doesn't make any sense that you guys have still not been able to give me a reason why I'm being let go.
Way to stay on point again. Okay, another chance. Just give her a reason. Any reason. A real reason.
Just from a process perspective, your questions are valid. This isn't going to be the forum and the situation where we're able to go into the detail that you're looking for.
But then when? If it's not right as I'm getting fired, then it's certainly not going to be after when I'm no longer part of the company.
Well,
So I don't think there's anything we can say in this moment or today, Brittany, that's going to change the way that you feel.
I don't think she wants to be told something that'll change the way she feels. She just wants answers, Rosie. Okay, but to say that it's a total shutdown technique. I'm trying to shut you down so that we can get through our job, because they're honestly, Rosie and Dom are probably super uncomfortable. They don't know what they're doing. The gaps of silence of them just sitting there trying processing how to manage what's going on. I mean, it just doesn't sound like Dom and Rosie have been trained enough, or more importantly, given enough information so that they can truly support. Because here's the thing, it's like if you're an organization, your brand and your reputation is reflected in every part of the process. Okay, just because you're letting somebody go doesn't mean you don't think about how you're doing it to best represent your brand and reputation. The reality is, yes, it happens. As you grow your business, you're gonna have to hire people. You're gonna have to let people go. The question is, how are you handling it? And this is gonna affect your entire ability to scale in a sustainable way. We've seen so many companies like have a bad kind of like a firing and hiring based on our HR process, that it actually kills the brand of the organization, the reputation. The people become a problem for the longevity of that business. And then when the business goes out of business, instead of being able to get support, the social indicators are saying, yay, people are rejoicing because you pissed off enough people in the way you handle things. Look, people know that companies have to hire and fire. Why make it in such a way so they leave with such a bad taste in their mouth, and especially in this day and age with social media, that it's going to create challenges for PR for your brand.
And it's understandable.
Here we go. Rosie, stops using the word understand. So for those of you who are in HR, or those of you who are in the area of managing people and managing, one of the biggest things that Rosie is teaching us today is when you are dealing with conflict, when you are dealing with trying to kind of like negotiate from a communication standpoint between two human beings or more, using the word understand will only create greater risks in terms of the rapport that you need to have with people. So it's a rapport breaker, okay? And I don't care if you're letting somebody go in this situation or not, you always want to maintain rapport for the most, as Hawaiians would call it, the most pono way to do any activity. It's good for you, it's good for everyone that's around you, and it's good for the planet, right? Okay.
And feedback, and we'll circle back.
Yeah, I know you did that for Nestle too, but that's
of the meeting. It's not going to change the outcome of the situation today, so it may be best if I do get into more of the specifics of what the next steps are, because I think it's clear that you have questions that we cannot give answers to. And if you'd be open to it, I'd love to move into what the next steps are so that you're not any further blindsided than you already feel.
Okay, so basically, she's relinquished to the fact that, and she's realized that she's not going to get any answers from Rosie and Dom, and Rosie has now basically bullied the situation into, look, I'm not even going to let you talk anymore. Okay, it's clear that Brittany doesn't even believe that Rosie's going to circle back, because apparently these are 10 to 15-minute conversations that they're having across the board. How many of those people are she's going to circle back to? So there is no rapport, there is no trust, and right now the tears that are coming out from Brittany is she's basically been surrendering to the situation.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
There
you,
you go.
Dom.
She's not even thanking her. She's thanking her partner, Dom. Right? Brittany says, okay, let's move forward. Instead of saying thank you to her, Rosie goes, thank you, Dom. It's like, way to hide behind the, again, I'm not going to belabor this anymore.
Okay, and I'm really sorry that you're having this experience and feeling this.
Look at, okay, so that right there, Brittany's rolling her eyes. Rosie, just stop. You don't need to do this anymore. You have no rapport with her. She doesn't trust you. She doesn't believe you. Okay, so she doesn't. So when you saying sorry, it's not gonna matter. It really doesn't.
This way. One of the things that we want to confirm is your personal email address, because that's where all.
Okay, so that's the end of that one. If you want to watch the full video and stuff like that, it's really easy. Just look up Brittany Pietsch, and she just literally released it yesterday. Okay, I saw that. I wanted to come on because it was really relevant to a lot of what's been happening in the world of hiring and firing, laying off. And what I want to address today, and maybe create a kind of like a teaching moment of how to avoid doing what Cloudflare is doing. And what it comes down to is this. Okay, last year I was sitting in a room full of these tech company CEOs, and some of them were doing exactly what Cloudflare is doing, laying a bunch of people off. Why? Because they overhired. Okay. And so it got into this really heated discussion, and I was just sitting there quiet in my corner, and then they turned to me and said, well, Wei, this is kind of your world of expertise of people problems and scaling and growing and these types of things. What are your thoughts? And I sat there and smiled and said, I was just observing and just kind of, watching everything that's going on. I didn't think that you guys would want to hear what I want to say, because if you want to hear what I think, you may not like what I say, because I might be calling you out. They're like, well, that's why you're here. That's why we're having this discussion. So go for it. I mean, we're all grown men. We can handle it. And woman. I said, okay. So I broke it down and says, this is an old corporate kind of belief system of how we solve problems, especially if you've grown and you start to make a lot of money. You tend to throw a bunch of money to solve problems that are typically not usually resolved by money. Okay, so the reason why people overhire or organizations overhire is because they're dealing with underperforming teams, not because they don't have enough people. That hasn't been the case for a very long time in this trend that's happening in the world. And this is why we see overhiring and then over laying off or firing, and then this cycle just keeps going over and over and over again. It's to compensate for the fact that they have money, and so they're going to throw it out and get a bunch of people without even thinking about the livelihood of those people, to compensate for people who are underperforming already within the organization, instead of just like kind of figuring out, hey, how do we get these people to perform more? So when I pose this question and I ask them, it says, okay, well, are the people in your organization before you hired, were they performing at their optimal levels? He goes, no, that's why we hired more people. It's like, why do you do that? Do you know it's more expensive to hire new people, because on average, it takes about 60% of their first year salary to fully onboard and train and get them, integrated into the ecosystem of your organization to be highly productive, to get the performance ROI from your investment of paying their salary. Okay. It is far cheaper to actually focus on improving the performance of the existing employees who are already trained, who are already onboarded, okay, so that they will perform better, which will give you a much better metric on how many people you actually need to hire. But instead, what happens is whether it be complacence or laziness or whatever the case may be, these companies will then go out and just hire a bunch of people because they can. They have the money at the time. And then something shifts in the economy or something shifts in the marketplace, and all of a sudden, oh no, we did too much. Okay, we got too overexcited about it. Okay, and this is why it's not a systems problem, it's not a structure problem, it's a people problem. And it starts with the leadership all the way down of understanding that. Clearly, in this Cloudflare situation, the leadership has no idea. So the CEO came out with a statement that it made him sick seeing that. Well, guess what? I get that, okay? And I also want to call you out, leader. You should know these things, or at least have people that are reporting to you, reporting what is going on so that they understand what's happening. So it's the fact that he came out and he mentioned it in an interview or when he was asked to respond about this video, which is going viral right now, is that he probably will now do something about it, okay? I hope Cloudflare doesn't go anywhere. I hope they recover from this, because we actually use Cloudflare, and I know tons of my peers and colleagues that use Cloudflare as a way to protect our websites, as a way to proxy our website to prevent people from attacking, taking down our websites, okay? So if you know Cloudflare, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so at the end of the day, when the meeting was over, it was really quiet in the room, because what I essentially did was called out. It's like, you guys wasted a bunch of money hiring somebody such as like someone exactly as Brittany Pietsch, not even there for a year, and all the money that you paid her, you never got an ROI for, and now you're letting them go, but in a way that actually you basically paid her and spent money investing in this type of over-hiring process to damage your reputation. It actually, you got zero ROI if this is being spread around all the people who have been let go to your brand and your ability to scale effectively. And this is what slows organizations down when they are trying to scale. I know this was a longer live, but I hope that, you know, if you are an organization that has multiple divisions, that have multiple leadership teams that report to you, that we look and at the entire process. And it's really easy to do. You set up your organization, like we always have all our clients do, into 3 easy pillars. We call the easy 3. You have your acquisition pillar that has all these processes that should be clearly laid out. You have your fulfillment pillar that has all that processes laid out. And then you have your operations pillar, which is the pillar that this whole, live was structured around, which is the operations area, which includes HR and legal and optimization of human beings and systems and all those different things inside these 3 areas. When you organize it that way, it makes it super simple to identify potential gaps before you do any kind of hiring campaign, any kind of growth campaign. So it's called a simulation model, which we make all of our clients do before they even spend a single penny on growing their business, hiring people, expanding the business, and so on and so forth. When companies don't do that, the result is what we're observing here. And what Brittany Pietsch is going through, or it had just gone through, is not an isolated incident. It happens all the time. I mean, the reason why I came on to do a live about this is because I literally heard a similar example of what they went through in this networking group I was in last year with a bunch of these CEOs who were making these types of decisions or were not aware that these types of decisions were being made, and now they're doing damage control, which is a waste of a leader's time. Okay? So that's why I wanted to highlight this, because what we do is to help people, and it doesn't take much, and it's so much more economical to just simply not be lazy about bringing out the highest performance of your people before you think about hiring more people to compensate for the underperforming people, right? Yes, sometimes you probably have to let go of certain people who are just not performing well enough or not well suited for a role that you may not even need anymore, okay? This is the nature of business. And guess what? Employees understand that. They just need to be respected and communicated to like normal human beings, so that, and the HR people just need to listen. And so it comes down to that, right? Communication is really important. Systems and structures are important, but let's use this and take full advantage, unfortunately, of what Cloudflare is going through right now with Brittany Pietsch and probably numerous others, to not make the mistake. That's why Inc.com said this is like a masterclass in that, and hopefully more companies will then take advantage of, learning about this, and then hopefully recognize that someone like Brittany Pietsch is obviously talented, very quick, very adept at being able to identify, because it takes a lot of intelligence to be able to, in the moment, hold your composure and ask the right questions. So it's anyway, there's so many things to unpack, and I can probably talk about this for hours, but we'd love to hear your thoughts after seeing this, and maybe we can have a discussion about how you can avoid doing this in your organization. But anyway, I know it's a Saturday, so I took a liberty to be just a little bit more, I don't know, fluid and organic about this. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I look forward to, and if you like this type of analysis and breakdown of certain situations that come up in the social sphere, so that you can learn more about what not to do, or maybe even what to do, okay, because I'm also looking for good examples of how companies take care of their people and how companies have scaled effectively due to what is being shared on social media. Let me know. That way I can maybe put a plan and do more of these types of breakdowns to help all of us learn more from every experience that can be had in the world of social media and beyond. Okay, other than that, have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you in the next live and video. See ya.